So, as you can see, my shop is a bit messy. Part of the reason is I got the new giant bandsaw back there, but that's not the only reason. Really, I need some reorganization or a bigger shop. This wall has never been very useful. I had those shelves there, but they're difficult to get to because the jointer, you can even tell that that's a jointer, the jointer covered in stuff, was kind of blocking them. Shelf, or that bench, it hasn't been too bad, but it's kind of cluttered with stuff right now. My woodworking bench, usually that actually I keep fairly clean, but since I've been moving stuff around, that one's been messy. Need a better space for this. This is one of my newer tools. It's a Makita miter saw. It's great design. With the side rails, it means that I can mount it really close to a wall. It works okay on this bench, but then I'm really limited on bench space. My mortar saw, I don't know if I really should have got that mortar saw, but anyways, I got a used mortar saw a while back. It is pretty useful, but I think I could probably get away with dowels or other jointery methods besides mortise and tenons, but I have it. Anyway, so my plan is I'm going to take this saw off this workbench and mount it over here. I'm going to take down those shelves, make a workbench that will sit on, that the jointer can go under, and that the boards I cut can go out through the bandsaw. So I'll have a bench here. The jointer will be able to tuck underneath the bench, and the miter saw will sit on top, and it might clear my lathe. I started making a workbench for my miter saw, and I was hoping to have my jointer fit underneath that workbench. However, I realized that I can't have legs on the front of the workbench if I want to slide the jointer underneath it. And I can't hang it from the ceiling because if I want to put the miter saw on, things would get in the way. So I made these brackets, which are going to go on the wall, and my bench top will be supported by these. So I won't need to have legs, and hopefully it will, the jointer will fit nicely underneath. The miter saw will go on top, and I'll be able to save some space. I'm also going to get a ceiling mounted air filter, one of those ones that you can turn on, it blows air through and it's got filters and should filter out the airborne dust. The shop is fairly small, so it does get pretty dusty in here. I might also put in cabinets on either side of the miter saw or some sort of shelving, but I haven't really decided yet. Let's see. Well, I'll get this mounted, get this piece off. This was originally going to be where I attached my bench to, but that's not going to work. So on to plan B. Well, here we have the bench. It's not quite what I had envisioned. I had envisioned a little bit longer, so it would stick out a little closer to the bandsaw. However, the next stud is too far over because this is framed 2 foot on center, and these obviously need to be screwed into a stud. So this is what I'm left with. I've got good space between the wall. I can extend out that direction through the bandsaw, so I'm all set. This way I clear my lathe. I've got some wall space for more cabinets and the air cleaner. This is far enough away from the wall so I can get my vacuum hose hooked up to the dust port. Jointer rolls in and out. Jointer's nicely tucked away. So the bench is done. It's not quite what I had envisioned. I thought of making it a little bit wider than this, and I suppose I still could cantilever out this end a little bit more. But I couldn't move these braces out any further because I want them screwed into the studs, and the next stud is too far over. It'll interfere with the bandsaw, and if I move the bandsaw that way anymore, it interferes with space getting into my corner cabinet over there. So I still have room for wall cabinets. They'll be a little bit hard to access, but not too terrible, and I'll put stuff in there that I don't need all that often. I have ceiling room for that air cleaner that I'm getting. I can slide pieces out to the left and they go up through the bandsaw and they clear the lathe on the other side. So I should be able to do long pieces. I can't do super long pieces, but I can't do super long pieces in this shop anyways because it's too small. So if I want to do anything long, I'll have to drag this outside. I had originally thought of making a removable top for the workbench with end supports so I could cut longer pieces of wood without them dangling down. But I decided that it's not going to work for this space, so I'll have to just make another one or just use this on a set of sawhorses or just as is. I'm not sure how much I'm actually going to travel with this saw anyways. It's mostly going to be for in the shop. My dad has another miter saw that we have set up on a long piece that we can set up on sawhorses, so we can cut 16-foot pieces without having the ends be all floppy or without having an assistant. This saw will probably mostly stay in here, so I don't mind not having the support out farther. Well, I've got 2 more cabinets to hang up. They're the same as that one and those 2 there. They're way nicer than what I need for my shop. Well, there we have the 2 cabinets and the miter saw stand, the jointer underneath. The other cabinet I also hung up recently. Those little storage bins, mostly full of stuff I don't use that often, so I might stuff them up there with the rest of them or figure out some other place for them. They're full of things like dowels and little wooden plugs and other stuff which I don't really use that much in my woodworking projects, but maybe I will in the future. So I need to find a home for those. This workbench needs help. That lower space is kind of a pit of despair. Those gray bins are, those 2 gray bins are full of just sort of random tools that I don't really use. Should probably get rid of those. And then this workbench is looking better. My mortiser should probably find a home for that underneath this bench. Table saw / workbench. I promise it'll get better. Those that cabinet and that cabinet are empty, so I've got lots of room to put stuff. So I've made some pretty good progress on my shop cleanup. It still needs work. I have too many. I don't have good wood storage in my shop itself, so I've got a pile leaning up there and over by the table saw. This is a project I'm working on. Here is going to be a cake or baked goods display stand for the Marlboro Fair, which I'm on the committee for. Woodworking bench is cleaned up. That pile of stuff is going to be a toolbox, like a machinist toolbox, if I ever finish it. So I got the shop air filter installed. I was going to hang it from the ceiling with the chains, but they're a little bit too long and they're hard to shorten, so I decided to just set it on top of the cabinet instead. It should be fine up there. I did leave 2 chains on just as sort of a safety chains. The miter saw set up. The jointer fits nicely underneath. I think before I tuck it in, if I wrap the hose around the jointer, it would work pretty well for storage for that. It's not very well done this time. Got my shop vac for the miter saw. Not ideal. It'd really be good to have that plumbed into my big dust collector, but what can you do? Yeah, this corner's a mess. This needs help. dust collector kind of takes up too much room over there, and the air compressor, which is around the back, you can barely see that. Really bigger than what I need for the shop, at least physically bigger. So anyways, that corner kind of needs to be redone. So upgrades to my woodworking shop. Since I got the bandsaw, I need to rearrange stuff, and I decided excuse me. So getting the new bandsaw kicked off a bunch of shop renovations, or not renovations, reorganizing and retooling. I'd wanted one of these for a while and finally decided to get one. It's a pleated filter for my dust collector. So originally it came with these thin bags, but these I don't know if they filter down too, but a fair amount of dust gets through them. So I was looking for something better. My dad had bought some thicker felt bags that were supposed to be better, and sort of suspiciously they were supposed to flow more air and filter finer, which doesn't really make sense because they really have the same surface area. Whereas this one is supposed to do that, filter finer and flow more air, but it's got a much larger surface area with all the pleats. It's gigantic compared to a regular bag. So I think the felt, or the thicker soft bags are really kind of a scam. I think what happens is it just takes longer for the dust to progress through them, because after I used it for a while, well, when I first started it up, the bags were soft when you pushed on them when it was running, so there wasn't much restriction. But after I ran it for a while, the bags got hard, so they were restricting the airflow, and they also would slowly ooze dust to the outside. Like if you tapped them, dust would waft out. So I think it just got impregnated with dust. All the thick fabric just got crammed full of dust. So I have those. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. So now I've got some really dusty felt bags. I don't know what happened if I run them through the washing machine. That's tempting to try just to see what would happen. But I'd probably just store them somewhere in case I think of something else to do with them. So anyways, I got the pleated filter. But one thing is you need a bottom bag that doesn't let any air through. So I have a plastic trash bag inside my other bag, my old bag. I thought about just using a plastic trash bag, but these aren't that durable. I mean, they're not flimsy, but they're not real strong. I figured if I drop something and poke a hole in it, it's going to be spewing dust all over the place. So I decided to put on this bag as a protector, and then it also has the strap already to hold it in place. So that's my solution for now. Eventually, this might go outside. If I build a little addition to my shop specifically for the dust collector. If I do that, I'm going to have it be so I can either vent directly outside if the weather's nice, or have it be so I can open up a little door and have the air return back into the shop. Because if I run this thing in my shop, venting all the warm air outside in the wintertime, it's going to be, it's not going to work so good. It's going to cool off the shop, or even in the summertime, I like to open the doors at night, cool off the shop, close them, keep it nice and cool in here. So if I'm running this when it's 70 in the shop, or 75, and it's 80 or 90 outside, then I'm just going to suck all that hot air in. So I want to be able to isolate this from the shop, as well as keep the cold air in the shop. But that's a ways down the road. I don't really have time to make an addition to the shop yet. So I'm going to run it this way for a while. So these are the thicker bags I was talking about. So the dust just gets stuck right to them. And it just sort of never ends. Like, even on the outside, they're just messy. And I'm in a mess just bringing this thing inside. So, yeah. real thrilled about these. So if you're going to upgrade from your regular bag here, I would not recommend getting one of the thicker bags. Save your money, save up for pleated filter. Of course, I just got the pleated filter, so I don't really know how well this works. I tested it a little bit. It seems to work really well initially, but I don't know what its longevity is going to be. But it seems like it should be a lot better than those thick felt bags. I hope you liked this video. If you did, I'd hope you'd consider subscribing. I've got a virtually endless supply of projects I could make videos about. If there's something I can do better, or if there's a type of video you'd like to see more of, leave a comment down below,